Hey, this is Justin, back with an engineer's perspective, and today I'm gonna do a 1,000 nail review on this here Dewalt 18 gauge brad nailer, model number DCN680. So my box of 1,000 2-inch nails is down to that, and I figured that was as good a indicator to do a kind of a discussion review on this thing as ever. So yeah, as I said, this is an 18 gauge brad nailer. Shoots those guys, does have a head. What is it used for? I mean, an 18 gauge brad nailer is a trim nailer. You can definitely use it for baseboards and door casing. The bigger profiles though are probably better suited for like a 16 or 15 gauge nailer. Definitely not a structural nail, not one you're gonna want to be holding like shelves up with really, or pieces of furniture together without glue. That said, this gun has been absolutely instrumental in doing just those types of things. So really quick, I wanted to do a size comparison. So I've got a piece of junk 18 gauge pneumatic nailer here. This was my first one, and when it came, so I wanted to upgrade. I decided just to go straight for the electric. So you can see the electric nailer is a lot bigger, you know, double the width, double the width, quite a bit heavier. Not nearly as nimble as the air nailer, very top heavy, but not bad. I mean, it can't get into the same small places that this guy can, but it's not awful. But it's you take a knock for it going so much bigger. And the reason for that is in these Dewalt guns, there's a big giant flywheel in there, big heavy circle thing, and it rotates, and when you pull the trigger, it engages with the firing pin and shoots that nail right through there. And so you can listen to that now. So that's the sound of the flywheel. If you got it on single shot mode down there, then pulling the trigger doesn't do anything. It's not until you engage the nose that it'll spin up. And then if you have it on the bump fire mode, you hold the trigger and just bump it as fast as you can. Bump fire works great, single fire works great, no problems there. Does have a safety up here if you care. It's there. Nice little lights on the bottom that are a huge help. The nubbin, the tip on this guy, it looks like that. Not my favorite tip. Oops. Don't want to shoot myself. I prefer kind of the squared off tip. I mean, it's definitely obvious where the nail is going to shoot through, but it's kind of bulbous. I mean, I think it does a good job of, if your gun's off at an angle, keeping the like distance from the workpiece same as flat. That way your nail depth is going to be pretty similar when you're off at an angle versus straight up. So, I mean, maybe it's smart, I guess, but just, I don't know. Not my favorite in use. They do give you 2 extras right there. Big old hook there, really nice and robust. And then I did buy the kit. Comes with a 2 amp hour battery down there. So real easy on off, whatever. Let's see, last thing over here, we've got our depth adjustment. So it shows you deeper nail, less deep nail. So you just rotate this whichever way you want the depth to go. And then your magazine is a plastic catch on the bottom. Whole magazine is plastic. And you just, like every other nail gun, stick your nails in. I've heard to try to just close it like that. Just, you know, don't go, just close it, nice and normal. There is also these inch markings. Not 100% sure what that's for. I mean, maybe if you had like the outside, the measurement from the outside of something to where you were nailing, you could kind of eyeball, all right, 4 inches right there, or that's supposed to be up and down. Or maybe nail spacing. I don't know. I've never used that ruler, but you certainly could. I like the thought. What the heck? that's kind of the walk around of the gun. Using it. First off, the convenience of a cordless nailer is like everything everyone says it's gonna be and everything you think it was gonna be. Now if there's like a loose baseboard in my house, I mean there aren't anymore, but when there was, like I would just grab this, shoot however many nails, done deal. It's fantastic. Before I was having to unhook my compressor, which is down here, total pain in the butt because it's not a permanent spot for it, but behind the workbench is where it's plugged in, and then grab this. And then if it wasn't charged up with air, then I'd have to plug it in. It'd be loud if I brought it inside. The air gun's a lot louder. It's just a pain in the butt. So that's so worth the convenience, even though these are extremely expensive at, I think, $300 bare. But worth the convenience factor. The flywheel mechanism works. It really does. So I've got 1-inch nails in there, so, or 1 1/4 inch, so 3/4 material onto 3/4. Here's so that's 3/4 plywood onto 3/4 or 1 by pressure treated there. So just kind of show you what that looks like. So just sinks the nails, whatever. This is bump fire. So in the bump fire, you can adjust the depth. So it's these little ones are a little bit proud, not what I'm worried about, but this one right here, that's tall. That's a good example. It's a brad nailer. You're not gonna be going crazy bump fire, but when you do, this little tippy tip can flip off on you. And I've had it happen before when I've been going crazy. Doesn't happen often, but it happens. And what that causes you to get a little, weak in the knees, a little wobbly, and you won't have as sure of a hit on there. So that's what'll end up happening, but it'll sink them, you know? So no problem. That's 3/4 to 3/4. Let's see, if you're trying to do detail work on pine, so I don't think it was the best idea, but I did some built-in shelves, and for the bull nose, I did, is it select grade? The high grade of pine, I forget what it's called, select? It doesn't matter. Anyways, and the amount of force I was pushing with this nose in was causing the pine to dimple in just a little bit. And so, once again, not ideal setup where in order to get it really tight up against, you're gonna be dimpling pine. Harder woods, not a huge deal, but just kind of a heads up. So single shot mode, I've got treated 2x4 into regular 2x4. And you can see that those things are gonzo, but that one right there, do you see that it's not a perfectly clean hole? Yeah, none of these are, you see that? There might be like a technique to this where if you hold it a certain way or do whatever, you get perfectly clean holes. And certainly if you adjust the depth so that they're not driven so deep, you'll get cleaner holes. But I've really struggled getting perfectly clean holes with this brad nailer. Okay, so there is a pretty clean hole, and there's one I completely just flubbed right now. You all saw it. I don't know why that happened. And so, there's 2 more. So you can see that those are actually pretty decently clean holes. But you can see that it works really well, but it's not like 100%. It'll sink every nail, but if you goof up or whatever, I'm not saying it's unforgiving because that's not fair to it, but like you kind of got to pay attention a little bit. And so that's kind of driving me crazy about it. That's kind of the takeaway, is it's super convenient. It will do the task. If you set it right, it'll do a pretty decent hole, but you get screw ups. And like that's user error, I get it, but it doesn't do you a ton of favors, if that makes any sense. In this 1,000 nails, 1,000 2-inch nails, plus, I don't know, probably a couple 100 1 1/4 and a couple 100 3/4 nails. Excuse me. I've charged this 2 amp hour battery, I believe 3 times, and then right now it's on 2 bars. So I'm 3 plus a little bit in, so that's kind of your battery life there. More charging than I thought it was gonna be. I don't know if I just sit with the flywheel going without needing to for so long, but I don't know, that lasts a long time to me, so that doesn't really bother me. I've only had one genuine jam in there, not a huge deal. You should probably take the battery out, but I mean, it just flips open, so no biggie. Super easy to clear jams, that's great. Magazine, easy to use. Lots of good bumpers, I really love that. It's a tall, top heavy thing, so it's got a lot of rubber bumping to keep you from messing stuff up. Yeah, I mean, what else is there to say? I think it works well. This requires a little bit of diligence by the user to get things just right. It will dimple in a pine if you're not paying attention. And I forgot the most important thing that I really wanted to talk about. Wow. Excuse me. All right, so watch this here with me. I think it'll rev up without nails in it. We'll do that just so you don't get skittish on me. Nope, it won't. So there you go. It does lock out when you run out of nails. Okay, so I promise I won't touch the trigger, so everybody just chill out. Okay, so if you watch this, so see how there's a little bit of give before it turns on the flywheel, right? So we're gonna keep going until the flywheel turns on. There you go. Okay, right there. Okay, now this time watch. When the flywheel comes on, I can still keep pushing past that and bottom it out. You ready? On, and then bottom it out. You see that wiggle room? What that causes is inconsistency in nail depth. Is if you're not 100% bottomed out, because if you're 100% bottomed out, you'll be consistent in your nail depth every time. But if you shoot the nail anywhere before that, it's going to be a light nail. It's not gonna go in all the way. So on like your lighter woods, your pines, probably not a big deal. Well, it kind of goes both ways. On your hardwoods, you can bottom it out. You're not gonna dimple your wood, consistent nails. But on your softwoods, if you push that hard, you're gonna dimple them. They're a little bit more forgiving of the nails driving in there, but it's a problem. And so what I've come up with to get around that, because you can't just sit there and be like, oh, did it just barely go? Like, now can I shoot it? You can't have a light wrist on the back of it. You're not gonna have good nail depth. So my technique for it is if I'm driving into soft wood and I need consistent nail depth, so not, if I was just making a jig or something like this, like who gives a crap, just whatever. But as you do a few practice ones, put it on bump fire, and what we're gonna do is let the flywheel spin up, and with the same consistent speed, we're gonna push down. And because you're actively pushing down, you're gonna resist the recoil and have it lightly set a nail. That's pretty good. All right, so this is what that looks like. And so you can see the depth of that one right there. Perfect depth. So we're just gonna match that speed. There you go. 2 consistent nails just like that. But it's still not ideal. You can see this one is a little bit proud. I mean, barely proud, but I can catch my nail on it if I wanted to. So not an ideal situation, in my opinion. And that being the case, if you don't want to dimple your wood situation and you want consistent nail holes, but like I said, with hardwoods, plywoods, you're not going to dimple the wood. You just bottom it out. really probably shouldn't be using pine for kind of those long lasting projects. So, you know, maybe it's not a huge deal, but it is a thing. It is a thing. But like I said, bottom it out. Life is grand. No concern. It's shove those things way in there. So overall, is it worth having an expensive electric nail gun? Yes. Is the Dewalt good to go in terms of getting the job done? Also yes. But for the price and the fact that there's competition, do I recommend the Dewalt? I don't think that I do. Do I have buyer's remorse? No. But do I wish I had the Milwaukee one? You bet. That's what I would say, is if you're thinking of paying this money, go buy the Milwaukee one. If you've got the Dewalt battery platform, they do make conversions where it's like you slide a Milwaukee converter on there and you put a Dewalt battery right onto it. Use that if you're into the Dewalt 20/18 volt stuff. That's my recommendation. I do love having this gun, but I don't think it's the best ever. So hopefully Dewalt comes out with an update to their flywheel style, certainly for the 18 gauge, like their pin nailer that they've done. So that's all I've got for today. Have a good one. Bye.